We've been living with this for a long time where there's things going on, but they're not being shown to the public. We're being allowed to see this, but there's a bunch of things they're not letting us see here. And this was going on when the deep state were fully in control. And some people believe the deep state are still fully in control. I don't personally believe that. I believe that the White Hat Alliance is in control to a large degree. I don't know if they're fully in control, but they're definitely got the upper hand from what I'm getting. And so I believe that both sides, so for years, everything was kept from us, and we were watching theater, especially in politics, and lied to about everything. Every single thing concerning your life, you were lied to. And now I feel like as disclosure happens, they're putting it out drip, drip. It feels like it's getting more intense, but it's still, to some people who've been looking at this for years, it feels like drip, drip. Okay, but to people just waking up, it's going to feel like trout's hitting them, right? But to this community, it feels too drip, drip, right? But there is, so this tells me that according to the cards, it is the White Hat Alliance doing it. Okay, if it was the deep state and the dark cult, I think we'd either see the devil or the Hierophant up here. And this card is like a government card, but it's also my Trump White Hat Alliance card, like that group working together. So yeah, that I feel like it's coming from that group now, that things are not being fully shown to us. They're doing it to basically integrate and maybe spiritually prepare the regular population, okay, that isn't going down the rabbit holes like we are. Okay, that's what they're doing. And every once in a while, they throw us some big comms so this community can keep busy, figuring things out on the back channels. But see this card here? This is the Seven of Pentacles, which is about planting seeds. So a big part of what they're doing is they plant seeds and have everybody go look things up, okay? So they give you just enough to go do your own research and look into things. And in my opinion, it's actually a really good psychological tool to do that, because then people are truly waking up on their own steam and not just being told again how things are. Because if people were just telling you how things are, in your deep heart, you wouldn't believe it or know it for in your true self. You need to know these things in your true depth of your soul. Your intuition needs to be involved. Your higher self needs to be involved. It can't just be your ego is told something, your avatar is told something. Okay, that's not deep enough for humans. If we're to really evolve, we need to know in our deep soul something's true. And that's what these two cards feel like. So in my opinion, even though a lot of people aren't liking how things are going, I feel like it's necessary that it goes like this. Okay, see that Seven of Swords? So this is for today. So it's the continuation of the drip, drip, of course. Everywhere you look on social media, things are being told or things are coming out, but you're also seeing the far left perspective and all of that. It's almost like they're making a joke of how absurd the far left is, at least in my feed. I don't know about you guys' X feed or your Telegram feed, but I'm seeing it's almost, it would be embarrassing to be a far left at this point. And I feel like they're doing that on purpose. Absolutely. Okay, so see the world here. And the Ace. So again, the biggest news looks like coming out today is that something gets revealed about the world, Okay, some big drop about the world that sends even more people, and not just this community, looking into things. And I have been noticing a lot of things about Tartaria. I've been more than usual about giants, about things that this community's been talking about, but that's not maybe so much political, but more what's been hidden from us about our history. And I got a feeling that's what this is talking about. Some things, there's a lot of things populating social media, really telling us, things we didn't know about our world. Okay, so 20 years ago, we wouldn't have known about our world. Some people might have, but most of us didn't know. So I feel like for instance, I would have never thought giants existed. I wouldn't have thought dragons existed. And now I'm questioning everything after the last 5 years. I'm questioning dinosaurs. Were they ever here? Was that really giant bones that they're covering up for? Is there any such thing as dinosaurs? I'm questioning, the whole giant communities. I'm questioning what's that all about. And I feel like this is what this is referring to. Things about our world are being really exposed, things that were hidden from us. And I feel like something big today. So watch in your social medias. I've seen several things this could be talking about. So, but that's what the universe wants us to pay attention to today. Okay, so let's look at the 28th. So that was Wednesday, the 27th. Let's look at the 28th, August, the 28th. That's Thursday. That's the day I do 3 videos, so it's a good one to watch. Rumble, and yeah, they're all on Rumble, I believe. No, the middle one isn't. That's just for the IAP. That's the question, like you can ask a question on either TBJ or on the IAP. And Coco and I, we look into your questions. Okay. And some people were questioning, why is that one only 45 minutes on the regular? I do 3 videos that day. And Coco's is also in the background of at least 3 that day, maybe even more. And it's a lot. So 45 minutes, I got to keep it like it's tiring, believe it or not, to use your psychic ability. So I would have just come off my free show on Rumble, the Thursday quick picks. Okay, so that the Beyond Ravens, and then I go straight on to that. So to Coco as well, we go straight on to that one. And 45 minutes is the best we can do. So I'm thinking, it's good. We're good. We're good. I feel good about it. I don't think anybody's getting the short end of anything. Okay, yeah, a person has to take care of their energy levels. Okay, let's have a look. And if anybody's done psychic work, it is very tiring, believe it or not. And also, like, you get famished. Okay, like by the time I'm done the night show with Jean-Claude, for me, it starts at 5. And for most people watching, it's 8 Eastern, but I'm Pacific, starts at 5. I am like so hungry by Thursday at about 6 o'clock. If Jean-Claude went any longer past an hour, I'd be like telling him I gotta go. You can't have a hangry Taurus on your hands. Not a good idea. Okay, so let's look at the 28th, Thursday. Wow, interesting. So this is like something new on the horizon, and it's around either housing prices, the housing market, and or literally the financial system, or the financial system and the housing system, maybe both. But this could be a new home. So it could be about interest rates. It could be about some new news about what's going to happen in the housing, the world of housing. I mean, all over the world, there's been all kinds of problems with, newcomers. They're flooding Europe with, and Canada and the US, they're flooding the world with newcomers. That was a big WEF agenda, by the way. That was a deep state agenda and they've been doing it for 20 years at least in Europe. And then they sneakily started doing it. I'm thinking about, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but around 10 years ago, it started getting really crazy how many people they were bringing into Canada, and really not doing any kind of, like, most of them coming from India, lots of them coming in Europe. A lot of them are coming from Muslim countries, and like huge problems with the clash in certain communities, trying to bring in laws that are totally counter to the laws of that country. So they come in and it's like an invasion. Okay, so it's like they're creating, so they, being the governments of those countries, are creating the invasion by bringing far too many too fast into communities that don't have the infrastructure. Okay, so, and then of course they already taught you to be woke and think in a woke way, or a large part of the population. So you can't say anything. So nobody was saying anything for years. It's just starting to, just the breaking point is happening in Europe. But I mean, it's happening all over the world, but in particular in Europe. Okay, so I feel like we might get some news around something new going into new territory around housing. And then this card, this is what leads me to believe the news might be about how much housing is being given over to, because this card kind of badly aspects these two, even though they look like great cards. I feel like the news will be, so something comes out in the public about how local people, and I've got a feeling this is somewhere in Europe, local people are being absolutely, their homes stolen, given to new immigrants to the country that are not vetted properly, and all kinds of videos about who's coming into the countries. Do you guys remember when Trump was saying, and it seemed like he was being kind of racist and of course they always color him like that, and or really cruel or unkind, where he was saying they're not sending us their best. Do you remember that? Now we know what he's talking about. With all of these videos, they're showing us videos of, it's like they're taking the lowest denominator, so non-educated, and I'm not saying education makes you a smart person, I'm not saying that, but they're bringing in literally boatloads of people, okay, who's likely are maybe the criminal element of some of these countries, you know what I mean? And a lot of them aren't family, so they're not bringing family so much as they're bringing actually fighting age men, so that's scaring the population. It's also creating a lot of rape culture situations, and that's been going on for many, many years in the UK, and it's much more complex than what I'm talking about here. But it's just horrifying what they're doing in it. It's not like legit families trying to, make it in Europe. Okay, no, it's not like that. It's like people that have no interest in being any part of European culture, in fact, want to basically literally shit all over it. And that could be literal in some cases. And I've shared videos about that. It's just horrifying. It's not okay. And there's nothing okay about it. It's obviously a plan, right? And I believe they're really shoving this in everybody's face, in particular Europeans, okay, because they need those Europeans that have been okay with it for 20 years to wake the you-know-what up and actually stand up for themselves. Like that young woman who's, we got pictures of her with an axe and a knife. Okay, so white people aren't allowed to carry axes and knives, but, Sikhs are, and other cultures are. The laws make no sense. Okay, and then there's the Canadian law, where we're no longer allowed to carry bear spray, okay, and or sprays that could ward off animals and or attackers. Okay, that's not even a safe idea here in Canada. And I just shared a video. In my neck of the woods, there's bears. Okay, you'll see often bear trails and bear poop piles, and there's a bear and fresh. Do you know what I mean? There's bears, and I haven't seen one yet in it all summer. Okay, but we've definitely smelt them. Okay, they've got a really big odor, and seen their leftovers. Okay, yeah, lots of bears. Like it's not even safe here in Canada to not have something to protect yourself, especially if you live rural. So it's just absurd. It's none of it makes any sense, and that's why it's a white hat alliance ploy. They're allowing these things to really play themselves out, so people really, really figure out. Okay, this was the agenda. They were doing it in a more subtle way. Remember that card from yesterday's reading when I did the cards here? This was the Four of Swords. Okay, so in a hidden way, now it's more out in the open. Something's going to really come out in the open, and it feels like the news will be about housing. And something they've hidden from us about what they're doing with finances and housing to do with newcomers. Because the reason I got the idea it's to do with newcomers is this card's a traveler card. So people just recent to the country. And I don't know which country it's going to be talking about. I'm assuming it's a European country with this card here, somehow a well-established country that's been there for a really long time. And Canada as a country, even though we know it's a corporation, has only been around maybe for 350 years. Okay, so I'm assuming with this card it's more established than that, so somewhere in Europe. I feel like there's going to be some really big drop about just how much of the housing's being taken away from the locals, and it's going to really stir people up or stir a lot of memes up and interplay on social medias yelling about it. So that's for Thursday, the 28th. Now let's look at the 29th. So August 29th, Friday. What's going on Friday? I don't know why, but there's something about the energy of Friday. Always Thursday and Friday, actually. I love those days. Oh boy, so Friday. Interesting. That's an interesting card to start off with. Let's keep looking here. Bedeviled by something bedeviling. Oh boy. Okay, it feels like something's really coming out around it's infants and children. Man, we really need that to be out. We really do. Something to do with, it's news. It looks like it's bad news. And it's about infants and children. And it even seems to break into mainstream media in a small way. So it comes up. So something's done against infants and children, that really debauched stuff. So we could be talking adrenochrome news, which there's been more and more of, and or trafficking news or satanic ritual abuse news or something, some kind of breaking information that's not new to us, but new to, by the way, I've seen a lot of people describing in detail, and I shared that video, and it could have been shocking for some people to click on, and I apologize for that. I probably should have warned everybody, but everything on Telegram, you got a heads up warning. If you click on it, it could be shocking, because I share a lot of shocking things on there. So just remember that if you're going in my Telegram, I'm sharing a lot of things. I don't always believe them. I'm just trying to sort what's coming out in there. Okay. It's more about here's what's being shared on the regular. Here's what everybody's talking about on X in particular, but just in the world. And if you want to just keep up to date on things that are out there. But this feels like there's, I guess I'll finish what I was saying there, frazzle drip. So it was someone describing in detail what was going on in frazzle drip. And even seeing just a second or two of that could make you really not feel good and also not sleep well at night. And that woman watched the whole thing and describes it. And it is horrifying. It's absolutely disgusting. Okay, so I had it described to me, but also saw about 3 seconds of it. And that was literally enough to never want to see any of that again. Okay. So something fairly horrifying here comes out, and it feels like it gives us more, moron and moron. That's an interesting, oops, right? How did that come up? But it gives us more insight into what this 1% of these horrifying peoples, if we can call them peoples, have been doing to infants and children. So we're going to keep an eye on Friday for that. Something really yucky comes out, and it feels like it involves horrifying things to do with children and infants. And the reason I got infants, or even like the unborn, so could even be a story about what they've really been doing with the pushing the agenda of abortions. It's like, it's not about women's rights. Okay. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the body parts of the aborted and the ritual of killing babies. It's another way to kill babies, and it's ritualistic, so, and I'm not saying there's sometimes is a really good reason, but I feel like they're few and far between, and abortion should never be used as a oh, oops, I got pregnant, better abort because it wasn't planned. I don't believe in that for 1 second. That feels like a cop-out, and not spiritually. You're not spiritually in touch with yourself if you think that's okay. To me, it's like if there was a real situation where you were raped and a pregnancy occurred, and or incest, of course, and that is rape too, and medical condition that you're suffering. If you take a baby to term, you're going to die too, like stuff like that. Like I know there's situations, but I think it's rare, and they should bring that way down in what they're okaying for that. But that's my personal opinion, by the way. Okay, so let's have a look at the 30th of August. That's Saturday. What do we got going here? Wow. So continued talk about whatever came out on Friday. So something's coming out on Friday that feels like this community in particular could be really talking about. Maybe not everybody. Wow, but it feels like it eventually really hits hard on, not right away, maybe days or weeks later, but it really does hit hard on and really helps the general population start to figure out who their real enemy is, right? Officialdom, the medical industry, your government, your religious leaders, who's the real culprits, right? I feel like we're really lining up to have this group finally understand. They're already, there's a lot of confusion here, and this is the regular population, but I feel like they start to really zoom in on, because of stories like this that comes out on the Friday, they start to really zoom in on who's the real culprit and enemy. And our group needs to stay strong and good leaders and not get caught into these guys' sorrow and drama over finally figuring out this has been going on, because we already went through that to even be in this community. You already know that. So don't get dragged down, stay strong. And because we're going to be asked to be leaders going forward when these people get back on their feet and come join us. Let's say that. So just some setting up of that. So energetically, things are shifting, that's for sure. Let's look at the 31st. So that's Sunday, August 31st. Wow. The month's over by Sunday. That's wild. Does that feel wild? Tell me in the comments if that feels wild to you. Yeah. It just feels like it was just the other day when it was August 1st. Oh my goodness. Let's see what we got here. So we've got the 10. Regular folks again, big part of the population, some kind of a surprise. That can be feeling emotionally surprised or an emotional, and this is uplifting. So wow, good, oh good, something uplifting and not all the bad news. Something uplifting for this community, and cause to celebrate. So important to celebrate small wins, even a little win. So something uplifting. And do you guys remember I got at I think it was could have been in the monthly Zodiac. I got that Trump would look bad till about mid-month or just after mid-month, and then start going on a bit of a roll again where he redeems, and he stops being so confusing. All through June and July, he was very confusing, and some of August. And even lost a lot of support, really, even in this community. And then it feels like all of a sudden he regained composure. I don't know what the ploy was there or what the comms were exactly. We looked at them all the way along, and there's various different reasons why, but we don't know all the plays, so we don't know exactly what's going on. But I don't feel like in any of the cards it didn't look like he was like, all of it looked like part of the war effort and part of us moving slowly but surely towards a sovereign race of people, free of the kind of demonic overlordship that we've been, you really used to, unfortunately. Like, it still feels like we're marching towards that. Never looked like we were taking any steps back, even though it really looked like it in the news. Okay. But what I got was he'd all of a sudden start being favorable again. And I feel like really by about the 17th, 18th, 19th, I think that was happening. And if you look back, it's important to celebrate the wins and look at what is happening and not always what didn't happen yet. You know what I mean? It's important. It's a way to manifest things, and it helps keep your focus and vision, because as you send out energy vibration, I don't care if it sounds corny, it's how it works. You literally attract that vibration. So if your vibration's really low and always in the nothing's working out, everything's for shit, and you're black-pilled spewing, okay, that's exactly what you're going to live in, that and only see that. Okay, you're missing the whole thing, right? It's like really important to stay above that, visualizing and noticing and being thankful for what is happening for the good. And that's what this looks like. It looks like something to celebrate, even if it's small. It's very important to celebrate. And most of the normies, or I guess I'm trying not to call them normies, but I always forget. Going forward, I'll be trying not to forget, and I'll be doing better at it every day. It looks like most of the regular folks here that aren't watching videos like this, they kind of miss it, okay? But we don't miss it. Maybe it's out there in the public, but they still miss it or misconstrue it, maybe in the news or whatever. But we see something to celebrate. So take the win and find something. Let's say this Sunday, find something to celebrate anyway, even if you miss what I'm talking about here. I feel like it's important to celebrate your wins and maybe put the focus there on the 31st. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching the video and sending everybody ravens. Bye-bye.
But it seems to be self-correcting. It was for Elon Musk. It appears it's self-correcting also now for Tucker Carlson earlier this evening. But still, there's all of this weird turmoil of energies right now surrounding this war. And I want to do a first 40,000-foot poll for the audience members who have not seen the last 2 or 3 pay-per-view deep dives on this. Go ahead, Janine.
Okay, so first thing we have coming up here, the Hanged Man. So everybody's like just hanging in the balance, waiting to hear what happens. Like everyone's waiting and watching social media on this one, right? And it also says it's someone or something's being put in a difficult position, or the situation we find ourselves in is difficult, and we chose to be in the difficult situation to become enlightened, or the situation, even though it's difficult, will enlighten us. Those are all the ways you could look at it. So whatever's going on, I think the bigger picture of it is so we'll further understand something else. Okay, so we're going to become enlightened through whatever's going on, so watching carefully how things are going down and not assuming anything yet is a really good idea, I'd say. Then we've got the Ace of Wands, so it's like a red hot situation and it's very creative as well. It's a creative ongoing, and there's new things popping up every few minutes. Actually, if you're watching social media, it keeps taking us in all these new directions, and new things are popping up that have nothing to do with war, but they seem to be coming up in like kind of like in unison with this situation, right? So we have to keep watching. Here in the past, we've got the Two of Pentacles, which is there's a bit of a dual thing here. What you're seeing is happening, and then what's actually happening we could have two things going on at once, right? Which there are probably lots of things going on at once, but I feel like it's not always exactly what you're seeing, and we're not always seeing it in real time either. Okay, right. This card could be like, that's the Juggler card. So there could be tricks abound, right? Trickery. Okay, so here in the middle now, so this is the general population. They're being served something, okay? And it's taking our attention away from all of these other things. Jean-Claude and I were just talking about that, like Kash Patel was actually dropping huge intel that the 2020 election was absolutely stolen, and here's how. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the director of the FBI's actually speaking that, and nobody's hardly talking about it because everybody's too busy focused on what's going on in the Middle East. So that's right. Interesting. So why the diversion? That's interesting.
And guys, if you haven't seen this already, don't feel bad. The mainstream news is not pushing this out at all. And when they are, they're basically dismissing this, that, the FBI director, Kash Patel, is feeding the 2020 election conspiracy theories, right? Yeah. So it's like, dude, this is the director of the FBI now presenting evidence to that effect, yet it hasn't really stuck to the mainstream news. And of course, the normies, they're oversaturated with everything else right now, and they haven't even seen this. I asked a lot of my friends today, are like, wait, what are you talking about? No, I haven't seen that, JC. So weirdness on top of weirdness all coming out at the same time. Keep going, Janine.
And the near future. So we've got this Five of Pentacles. So there's going to be a rejection here. There's some kind of a rejection or stepping away, maybe from the current narrative. What's being presented will create a rejection. I wonder if they're feeling out, like White Hat Alliance is feeling out how many people will push for a war with the Middle East and how many people will reject it. And we've actually seen a lot of outcry to reject it, that the U.S. doesn't belong in that war, that Trump should not be getting involved. Like, I've seen a lot of headlines like that. But anyway, I'm not sure what exactly that's talking about just yet. But whatever's really going on, there's a lot of deep secret things happening that aren't. And I know we hear this way too often, but this is the kind of situation we're in nowadays that really aren't being talked about. So there's a whole different strategy going. This is a strategy that's playing out, but it's really about something else. So it's saying here, use your intuition and instincts. Don't jump to conclusions. This is your advice. Sit and patiently wait and watch as things evolve, and focus on the kind of future and what you want to happen, and not what your fears tell you or what the fear porn out there is telling you is going to happen. Focus on the outcome you want to manifest. Like this is, I feel like, take it out of the theater you're watching and take it personally into yourself, because this situation does not look like it's presenting exactly the way it really is.
Right. Virginia Duell is saying, our politicians want war and the people do not. I think the poll that came out today with respect to that, Virginia, I think it was 16% of Americans generally are opposed, agree with going to war and the rest don't. So that's not a lot of support for the war. And I think it was 19% of Trump's base that wanted it. So not a lot of support for this war. Absolutely. Now, okay, and Janine, can you maybe give us a clarifier in terms of how quickly or how much time we need to get off the hook here? Because a lot of people are stressed with this situation. The fact that we are seeing politicians on both aisles of the fence contradict themselves here hour by hour. And this is all very confusing, frustrating, and to some extent, bringing in a lot of fear into the global consciousness. How much more of this do we need to stand here before things start to unravel themselves or get a little bit more clarity moving forward?
So it's not really giving me time frames. I might have to reshuffle for that. But it is saying something in the background that's going on is actually going to strengthen humanity. So that's weird and interesting. So telling us that what you think's going on again may not be exactly what's going on. This is a truth card here. Okay, that's a truth and integrity card. This guy also brings people to justice, but he's first brings out the truth about a situation. And then here we've got the King of Pentacles, a truth about somebody. So something's evolving out of this that's going to put somebody in the limelight. This is an elite or a really wealthy person, maybe even someone with a lot of power and wealth. It's going to put somebody in a position where the real truth about them comes out. So the whole situation is not really meant to take us to war that I can see. The outcome never looks like it's going to literally be a war situation. It'll go right up to the edge of it, but it looks like it's about other things, like outing somebody maybe, or some truths come out about, in particular, somebody like a very wealthy, rich fellow who's also got a lot of power. Also here we've got the Strength card. It's going to strengthen humanity. So I feel like a White Hat Alliance are in control of the situation when I see that, and not the dark side.
And okay, so just for the audience members again who haven't seen the latest shows on Beyond Mystic, you've been consistent on that now for the last week, that we're not being presented with the true picture, that we would be brought to the edge and then brought back, but truly the overarching message is this is about something completely different, right? So with respect to that too, just in the last week, we're being told that all of this action was, of course, because Iran was days away from a nuclear weapon, right? So said Netanyahu every month for the last 30 years, right? So we're always one day away from the nuclear weapons. And now suddenly it's serious, even though Tulsi Gabbard was speaking to Congress about her security briefing, saying that that was not the case. And when Trump was confronted on this, he said, I don't care what she said. He kind of threw her off the bus or underneath the plane. He was in the plane when he said that. So again, there's a lot of contradictions here happening. And now Trump today is asking for total capitulation from Iran. He said he has a total air supremacy over them, and he's threatening the Ayatollah, saying, we know where you are, you can run, but you can't hide. So now it looks more about regime change than it does about the nuclear warheads or the proliferation of such. Now, on top of that, we have rumors that perhaps Iran is in possession of data from Mossad that could expose elites, specific groups, specific bad deeds in our past, and that's why they're in harm's way right now. And if you watch the news in the last 20 hours or so, Iran is 90% or 95% in internet blackout right now. So they're preventing information from moving about. So that could be part of the situation again. And that could also lead to off-world stuff. Janine had that in the show, I think, last night, and again in tonight's show. So again, it's not really what it's all about, and we don't know. And Trump seems to be wishy-washy on whether or not it was weapons of mass destruction, nuclear, or wanting regime change, which seems to be the order of the day now. I'll bring up the clips for that in just a moment. Let me just address this. Janine says, wow, JC graduate. Yes, my twins are graduating tomorrow. So tomorrow, guys, on the schedule, the 3 p.m. show is still moving forward, but Meg will be doing the viewer question show with Janine. And tomorrow's 8 p.m. show, Meg will be hosting with Janine as well. So I'll be off tomorrow celebrating there with my daughters. And a big thank you to Meg for chiming in and helping me take those couple of valuable hours with my family tomorrow. So big thank you to you, Meg. Okay, so guys, let me go back to the live chat here just a moment. So this was the poll I was talking about here. Just 16% of Americans want U.S. involved in Israel-Iran war. So these were the surveys that were coming in the other day. Now, I want to show you some of those tweets from Trump with respect to the situation changing. So just a couple of days ago, the administration was saying, yeah, we're not getting involved in the Middle East here unless U.S. soldiers are in harm's way or if Iran strikes our U.S. personnel. As far as we know, that has not happened yet. If it did, really wasn't announced in mainstream news. So we're going based on what we see so far and what's been reported so far. But we went from we're not getting involved to now this. There's 3 main tweets here for Trump. He says here, this was yesterday, June 17. We now have complete total control of the skies over Iran. That was the first tweet. The second was, we know exactly where the so-called supreme leader is, the Ayatollah. He can run, but he can't hide. That was the second tweet at noon. And just a few minutes after that, he's asking for unconditional surrender. Now, breaking news this evening or later this afternoon, Iran purportedly, so says Trump in the White House earlier today, wants to come to the White House to perhaps make a deal here. That's all we know. And so far, we haven't seen any news on that yet. But see, this unconditional surrender at this point appears more to be about regime change than it does about the nukes themselves. So there is an involvement, even though they weren't supposed to be involved. So it's getting complicated here. Now, if you want more decode on that, I don't want to dive too deep here. We already did the show earlier tonight at 8 o'clock on this and also on Monday. That'll help you kind of put more meat to the bone to that particular story. Now, what we want to talk about here tonight is this video, so suggested is from our poster here, the special decode for this evening, is the Anonymous group putting out a video 2 days ago now. So I'm going to play that video first. It's about a 2-minute video. We'll play it in its entirety, and then we'll come back and ask some questions and then tie in some specific pieces that we're also hearing both from the deep state, from the white hats, some of the codes that were put out today with Mr. Trump and the yellow tie, and see where all of this is leaning. And also the rumors that perhaps all-out war could start this Friday evening. Now, all of this, guys, preface, is not meant to bring fear into the equation. It's more meant to look at what's being presented to us, being able to discern what's fake, what's not, going within, as Janine said here, and using our own personal power to bring that energy where we want it to go, towards peace, towards building the new world that we want. Not about fear. And if this conversation so far is bringing you in a different frequency, that's okay. Don't watch the show. It's really okay. But for those of you who want to participate in this energy exchange to bring things or bring cooler heads to the situation and to understand this a little bit more, to maybe alleviate some of the fear factor you already have, then please, of course, keep watching with us. So let me go to that video itself. Hold on. It's this one here. And I'm going to share this one with this audience. That should work here. Let me know right away as soon as I press play, Janine, if you don't hear it, okay?
Hello, my fellow citizens of America and others across the globe. This is the Architect, speaking on behalf of Anonymous. 17 days remain until we release everything. But first, there's something we feel the need to bring to light now. It may not be able to wait. This is not a drill. This is not speculation. This is a warning based on extremely reliable intelligence. We have acquired verified information that a major attack is being planned on domestic soil. It will be brutal, it will be visible, and it will be blamed on a foreign faction, one from the Middle East. But that is a lie. The operation is a false flag, orchestrated not by a foreign enemy, but by an elite shadow alliance within a nation that poses as our greatest ally, but instead is a hyper-militarized power with deep influence through sexual blackmail in our intelligence, government, and media sectors. The goal? To drag us into their war, under the guise of retaliation. But the real motive isn't justice. It's control, resources, power. A goal they can only achieve by using us as their puppets. They know that once blood is spilled here, the public will beg for retribution. They're counting on your fear. They're counting on your outrage. But now you know. And knowing changes everything. This is not just about geopolitics. This is about the manipulation of a population through violence, fear, and engineered narrative. In the next few days, weeks, or months, this will happen. It's a guarantee. The irrefutable proof of what's being planned is in this message. You don't have to believe us now. Just know when you see it who the true terrorists are. It is not who they will say it is. It will come from none other than our own greatest ally. When you see it, you will understand the scale. You will understand the pattern. If we stay silent, we walk into the trap. But if we stand together, share the truth, and refuse to be played, we can stop it. Or at the very least, wake the nation and the world up to what's actually happening. You are not powerless. You are not alone. Prepare. Stay alert. And above all, think for yourself. We are anonymous. We are legion. We do not forget. We do not forget. Expect us.
Okay. Couple of things to parse there in the language. Janine, what's your first reaction listening to this here? What is it that you feel is important we start decoding? I want to ask you first. I took a few notes as well. Where do you want to go first with this decode?
Well, to me, it sounds like they're spelling out what's been going on for hundreds, maybe thousands of years. We've false flagged and led to believe, like just look at 9/11, look at like so many different things where we've been fooled by this, and they're laying out this is going to happen again. So all eyes on. So anyone that's watched that video or heard about it, if they do see something, they'll be a lot more alert and more understanding of maybe what's going to happen. I feel like it's an educational video. And even if it doesn't happen in this situation, it's getting everybody prepared to watch for things like that because they happen all the time.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so for me, and I agree with that, people were asking for the link to video. I just put it up on the screen now. It's in the live chat here on Discord. We're also simulcasting on X tonight. So if you're having trouble on one server, please come on and join us on the other one. Now, two things in there for me to look at. So one is this retaliatory attack on American soil. I did ask you about this on Monday, I believe, on the Monday show. At that point, we didn't have the anonymous video, but we had Tulsi Gabbard suggesting that perhaps America was now in harm's way. Tucker Carlson also suggesting the same thing here, that if we got involved, we were putting the United States in the crosshairs, so to speak. So we had it wasn't a hell yes, but it was a yes that we could be in harm's way. That was on the Monday night show. Okay, so let's start there again tonight. I want you to take another pulse as to whether or not there's still the potentiality here of the United States being in harm's way in terms of, and I'm not going to clarify here, false flag or actual attack here, but just attack that could be causing havoc in the United States. Let's put it this way here, similar to what Tulsi Gabbard was talking about.
We're going to share our space here with Dusty Bum.
Okay.
Maybe he thinks we need his energy.
And I just want to share this because I mentioned this on my Twitter. I reposted this the other day, any day now. And this was Shadow of Ezra reposting the CNN's put together collection of footage showing Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu repeatedly warning since 1996 that Iran was nearing the development of nuclear weapons. I put that in context again if you haven't seen the previous shows, but we were also looking at these weapons of mass destruction, which everybody told us and guaranteed us was the case for the war in Iraq, only to find out years later that there were, in fact, no weapons of mass destruction. Are we being treated here to this Groundhog Day once again as camouflage to something else? I'll get to that decode in a moment. But right now, again, is America in any way, shape, or form in harm's way in terms of a retaliatory attack or a false flag attack right now?
I don't get yes. I mean, I get no. Sorry.
Right?
The reason I say that is, see this tower? If it was in harm's way, it would look like it's in harm's way here, which is what it'll look like. If it literally is in harm's way and it's already been planned, this card would be here. If the intention was to educate people through awareness and have a shocking reveal, it would be here because that's more personal. So that's an inner revelation now when the tower shows up. But literally external harm's way, that would be here. Here, it would look like it was, so it really wouldn't be, but it would look like it. And or the near future, it should have come up here if it was really going to, but it came up here as our advice. So it's very interesting, and I'll get to the advice just in a minute. This card says what that person was saying is true. So he was describing, or whoever was speaking there, was describing a situation that happens over and over. And it's like meant maybe to set us free from, or set our minds free, or this card's a sovereign card and freedom card. So whoever that was that put that out there, their intention was to tell the truth and set you free. The truth will set you free, like that this happens. So I don't think literally one's going to happen, though, because the near future outcome doesn't look like it actually happens. This is a safe card and a cautious card. So going forward in caution and safety. Okay. And here's advice. So we've got the tower, which is revelation. Now, when it's advice, it's more personal to you. So it's not about an external tower. Now it's an internal tower. So it's about get the awareness that things built on not firm foundation are coming down. So maybe the tower moment is more of an awareness than it is a physical destructive event. The event will be awareness and a wake up. The event will be information that wakes people up. It's not going to be literal, like where you get hurt physically.
Okay. Well, that's good news. Now, in terms of that information being exposed, somebody that's saying, yeah, maybe some of the truth being exposed, that you're suggesting would set us free, if I'm understanding that middle row there.
Yep.
Okay. Now, do you want to do clarifiers as to what that information might be? Does it relate to the financial system, to the pedophile rings, to ETs on the moon? Like, where are we going with all of that? Because again, there's rumors here of these 3 terabytes of data that Iran might have stolen or hacked from Mossad, and that could be at play right now. And that's forcing the powers that be to make these moves here to control the narrative on that information, or at the very least, the timing of the release of that information. What do you see in terms of direction and type of information, Janine?
Maybe who pulls the strings from a distance could be revealed, although I feel like this community definitely knows. And of course, what that guy was saying without saying it, or that person was saying, he's talking about Israel.
Yeah,
right?
It seems evident. Yeah, our biggest ally turns out to be the person behind the false flag.
Yeah. So it looks like, how we are literally beholden to them. So maybe even more information will come out about that. I feel like you're playing this all out to show you that. Okay, now we got the magician here and the temperance. And also it's saying there's more to play out that'll make this make sense. It's not making sense yet, but it's like the universe says you need to let this play out. there's more to this theater, and it'll make a lot more sense. I feel like they just started this part of the show.
Okay. So again, in the context of the last 3 days, we're being treated to some deltas from some previous Q posts having to do with Iran, regime change, nukes. The Israeli mistake has to be tied into all of this with the WebBot data. And we're also looking at this here earlier tonight, the next 10 days here being absolutely critical. And they're talking about false flag attempts might be carried out again to change the narrative. Can I get you to do a clarifier on that also? So as opposed to, do you want to do a whole lot of shuffle?
Yeah.
A lot of cards
think
are
I
down.
better. Yeah.
Yeah. So here, what seems to be at play, of course, Trump today at one of his events, he was wearing the white hat, Make America Great Again. So there was the white hat com, and then he switched that over for the yellow tie, the warning, the situation, the quarantine zone, and the Q clearance in maritime law. So he was suggesting that there's something that we need to focus on here, perhaps on past Q posts and some of those timelines. Or deltas that I'm speaking of here. So in terms of false flags being put forward to change the narrative, is that in the cards? And that doesn't have to be a bomb. It doesn't have to be a 9/11 type of attack, but it could be, as one gentleman was suggesting, this was just a couple of days ago, again, all of these truthers suddenly were reading a script from something. This person was suggesting that we might be treated to AI videos of Trump doing some very, very bad things to little people, and that would further undermine his confidence and would perhaps change the narrative here in what appears to be his strong position. He did say today at the press conference, Trump did, that he went from being the hunted to now being the hunter, right? So the tables are shifting here in terms of the power, and that might cause the opposing side here to push the panic button and to release some of these false flags, if it's not at least in terms of changing the narrative. Is that in the cards, Janine?
Okay, I'm going to need that shortened somehow.
Is it possible that, let's say in the next 2 weeks, we're treated to false flag narratives as opposed to bombs or explosions in order to control the narrative from the power structure that is currently in charge of the narrative?
I wonder if that already happened.
Okay.
And I wonder if part of that was because there's an ace in the past. So that card placement is in the past, and there's a yes in the past. It already happened. I wonder if when Elon Musk came out with that tweet saying Trump,
the reason they were delaying the Epstein list was because Trump was on it, right?
I wonder if that already happened, and that's what that was getting at.
Okay,
because now we've got the Seven of Wands, which the Seven of Wands is very unique and holds a position, and it has integrity unto itself. And I feel like Trump's holding his own on the Epstein stuff, because for all those years, like you pointed out, when they were desperate to get anything on him, they couldn't get, they were making stuff up. It was absurd.
Right.
The worst they could do was he supposedly paid out that woman. Turned out that was a lie. Russiagate.
All that.
They were just grasping at straws. If they really had anything like that, they would have, and you knew that, right? Mm-hmm. So I feel like he's holding his own on that. Also, I don't know if I should even bring this up, but Jeffrey, what's her? Virginia,
yeah.
Virginia
Jeffrey, yeah.
Have you heard that little clip where she's got the dead man switch?
Yeah, so I retweeted that video with the question, is this her? Is this her after the fact? Did she in fact record this before her death, suggesting that if she didn't do a certain amount of things to report in a certain amount of time, that some of this information would be leaked out? I wasn't sure about it. So I was just like, yeah, just put it on your radar right now. But who knows? It could be made after the fact. And again, we are being treated with all of this misdirection with the Epstein file, whether that was Kash Patel and Bongino coming out. Oh, there's no there. The videos that Bondi was talking about that doesn't exist, blah, blah, blah. Like everybody's like, what the hell's going on, right? And then the feud between Trump and Elon Musk. So there's a lot there. Why are you bringing up Joffrey in this context here, Janine, though?
Because in what she says, she mentions that she met Jeffrey originally at Mar-a-Lago, the club, when it was a club, and that her dad worked at the club. He was folding laundry and stuff in the gym or something like that, and that she worked there, and they were just good, honest people working there. She was 16, and she goes on to say Trump wasn't the problem. The problem was Ghislaine Maxwell, who sort of seduced her into believing she could be a massage therapist and took her to the island. And so she actually says she met at Mar-a-Lago and also she met Trump, but he wasn't the problem. The problem was these other two. And so like, I feel like there's been things coming out where if they had a chance, they would have already named him as one of the predators.
So the attempt here at the false flag to change the narrative has already occurred and to some extent failed then.
Yeah, I get it, failed. Okay. And so we've got the Two of Swords. So everybody's just left hanging. Okay. And we're all hanging on every word Trump's tweeting because we don't know what's going to happen this weekend. Okay, now we've got the emperor in the near future. So I really don't like the emperors. He takes charge again, it looks like. So white hat, alliance, Trump kind of energy comes back in the foreground because these two cards are both those. And all of a sudden it's like he might even do a big win situation where now he actually helps them come together and have peace or something. Mm-hmm. So I feel like it's going to go a different way than it looks. And it starts out looking bad on Trump, but it turns out he ends up smelling like a rose here.
You got that last week too. That again, he would look like he would be the peacemaker or the kingmaker at the end of all this. Whereas in the first couple of days, didn't look like that as people were starting to question him openly, even within his party here. So it's like they've got this tide of stuff happening. Yeah. And it's like an ebb and flow, and it's slowly like really turning the tide on. They're not going to be able to do this to him. Like he's going to be really hard to take down because he's been a 1 step or 2 steps or 4 steps ahead so far on everything. Yep. It appears that way. Absolutely. And also we have to call it like it is. In the last couple of weeks, he's been very successful in negotiating new trade agreements, China included, the UK, here Canada, apparently. If you listen to, I think it was a Toronto Star, they were saying that Carney was kneeling and worshiping in front of Trump. That's a huge change from the election to where here in Canada, we wouldn't even let this convicted criminal into the country, and it was the whole elbows up rhetoric during the campaign, and now apparently they're best buddies to the point where they're contemplating here in Canada giving the keys of national security of Canada to Trump under the Golden Dome initiative. So it's absolutely ass backwards. So many redirects, and people are going like, what the hell's just happening here? But again, giving Trump the credit here, he seems to be, and again, he's being praised for this global security situation. Carney keeps repeating that. And it looks like he might be indeed solving the problem in the Middle East. We'll see where all of this is going. But again, you kept getting in the last couple of days that we will come to the wall here and then go in a completely new direction. And I want to add just one piece to that too. Joni Patry, she was talking about this a month or two ago when she was looking. She's a Vedic astrologer. She was looking at the next couple of months, and she was saying we would start to see the inklings of peace treaties, perhaps as early as July and August, but those would be in place by October, and by October we'd be in a completely new world. So I thought that was interesting. And when Janine did a poll on that, I think that was a month ago or 2 months ago, you're like, yeah, pretty much what she said. And even though it doesn't look like it that way right now, that seems to be in the card. That being said, if you go to Cliff High's data, there's still a lot of turmoil to get from here to there. This was the emotional tension values here for each of the weeks moving into the summer of 2025. As you can see, the month of June, we're already started ramping up, and July is going to be even crazier. So finally, October, probably with the highest peak here, over 102 in emotional values. So we still have quite a bit of things to go through, and that's why we're trying to do these shows here to keep people calm and collected through this weird storm of news and the reality-shaking events taking place. Now, another part of this context we need to look at this evening are the rumors that perhaps a full-out war would be starting this weekend. Now, we've seen Bahrain being emptied of U.S. support. We've seen another military base also. I think it was Kandahar. I'll bring that up in just a moment. Apparently, air defense shields in Ukraine also belonging to the United States being now moved, leaving a lot of this vulnerable. We're seeing a lot of, apparently, again, we don't have boots and eyes on the ground, Janine and I, but we're seeing reports here of military personnel and big equipment moving to that part of the region. So now we're seeing videos also of perhaps an all-out war starting this weekend, probably as early as Friday. Now, I'm going to play another video clip here, which I'm kind of reluctant to play, mind you, just as I was with the anonymous video. But again, just want to put it in context. Janine had it, and just for the audience sake here, again, maybe who haven't watched the recent shows, we had picked up that truthers and people with platforms would be given information here in short order to change the discourse, to change the narrative. And that information might not be accurate, and in some cases might be accurate, but there would be a heavy hand, so to speak, reaching out to people with platforms to either muddy the water or to perhaps change the channel altogether. And that indeed seems to be happening this week. We're seeing it across the board. So with that said, let me bring up the next video we need to play. This one here. So this is from Chris Sky, and this is on his Instagram. Let me start that over and bring up the volume here.
On everybody, and we got a Chris Sky exclusive. I'm not going to say a Chris Sky prediction because this is not coming from me. So let me stress that again. Not a prediction, but something I heard from somebody in Washington, D.C. that I figured you guys should hear. So I'm going to say it. This person told me the decision has already been made and that Donald Trump and the United States are going to announce on this Friday, a few days from now, that they are joining the war and they're going to be attacking Iran. So you heard it here first. Chris Sky, June 17th. This is from an inside source in Washington, D.C. This is not coming from me. So if it doesn't happen, can't blame me. But I just felt obligated to tell you guys.
Okay. Now, a few people in the chat are saying, come on, this is hogwash. Well, hold on a second. Chris Guy, if you roll back the tape during COVID, he was right about a whole lot of things when a lot of people were wrong about a whole lot of things. So, again, give the guy credit. He's done some good work. Is he correct here? He's specifically saying it's not him. This is something he's being told from Washington, D.C., is not naming the source. Are we looking at one more of those scenarios right now where they're trying to change the narrative, Janine? Let's pull, generally speaking, here on could there be a hot zone this weekend? General Flynn was just out saying the next 48, 72 hours or perhaps the next couple of days here are absolutely critical for humankind. Words to that effect. I'm paraphrasing, but you can go find his tweet on Twitter. So they're expecting something here in the next couple of days. Is that what Chris Kai was told to repeat here? Does that jive, Janine? Is it in the cards?
So that's the war card. And this is the 9 of Wands, which is like where we're kind of all sitting right now. right up really close, not in the 11th hour, because that'll be Friday's the 11th hour, but we're really close. Right? So
Yeah.
we're all just sitting there. Now there's a really big change in the situation, but the Four of Wands is a breakthrough. So it's not negative. So there's a big change, and it's more of an moment. Fantastic cards on the bottom. By the end of the weekend, there'll be a breakthrough, and people will be feeling like they manifested something really positive. So it's not going to go the dark way, from what I'm getting.
Okay. Well, okay, so you got a lot of flack last week. I'll explain this for the audience members too, because before the weekend and the military parade in DC, everybody was saying 17 cities, 17 events, blah, blah, blah. All hell's going to break loose. They're putting the military on the streets. This is martial law, blah, blah, blah. And every time you pulled on it that week, you're like, it's actually going to look good. It's going to be a nice parade. Like, none of that. There would be a little bit of it. We saw a little bit of it, but really, it didn't amount to much. It started like it was. They were extrapolating the news and maybe making it worse when you were looking at mainstream media. But really, by the end of it, you were right. It was a nothing burger for that weekend, and the parade was quite nice, actually. So what you're saying now for this weekend, kind of same thing here. It might frazzle some people here who are into the doom and the fear porn, but it doesn't look like that, again, in the cards here. I just want to put that in context, guys. Again, we're analyzing the cards here. So let's go back to a few more things here, and I think we're almost done for tonight. A couple of things we need to look at. So here, the white hat. Let me go back to this slide here. Trump wearing the white hat, the 45 to 47, with a dash in between, suggesting that he's been somehow in control through the 45 term, the 36 term, and now the 47 term. He hasn't corrected the grammatical error on his cap, and of course he was wearing the white hat today, suggesting here this is a big military op from beginning to end. That's the code there. Now then, the yellow tie earlier today, again signifying the caution, the restriction conditions, and also, let me just scroll down here, Q flag in the International Code of Signals. Again, putting us to all of this Q stuff. And for a lot of people who are just watching the show and are like, well, guys, you guys are wearing tinfoil hats. Yeah, but there's a lot of this that is starting to stick, and it makes sense. And we're seeing all these deltas now. Simply ignoring them at this point is not in your favor. There's so much more here than what appears on mainstream news, and we have to look at the background stuff of things. And hopefully these shows are helping you at least attempt to decode this stuff. What was interesting today, too, Trump said that he went from being the hunted to the hunter. Again, these are clear mentions about previous Q posts. Again, those deltas that were now here in this new territory. The fact that Kash Patel is using this particular period of time also to talk about the stolen election is building to something. And so the last piece I want to bring for the audience members here, I think it's very important. When we were looking at this parade, this military parade in DC, people are saying, wait a second, maybe this is not necessarily a parade in the sense of things. Is it possible that there's more than meets the eye? Again, when you look at DC as a city-state, is it possible that now, under 47, this white hat military op of 3 terms, we're getting to the conclusion where DC is now under the control of the rest of the United States, and perhaps the military, or perhaps the new, and I'll say new, old Constitution. I know that's a mouthful, and if you guys have been watching for a while, you're probably thinking, what the hell is this guy talking about? Well, let's go to today. As people were waiting for bated breath to hear what Trump was going to say about Iran, the fact that he had total air supremacy, that he knew where the Ayatollah was, that he could run, but he couldn't hide, and that he was asking for total surrender, people were, waiting on bated breath here for what Trump was going to say. And he came out with this. It's my great honor to announce that I will be putting up 2 beautiful flagpoles on both sides of the White House, north and south lawns. So is he signaling through that, Janine? It's been done today. Like, you can guys go watch the news, that DC is no longer the city-state that we thought it was, perhaps controlled by the corporate constitution, but is now back under this new republic of sorts, old republic of sorts. And is that why people are reporting right now, Janine, that even though Trump is the president, they're getting still through their local PACs, policy advisory committees, and organizations, a lot of requests for donations, as if they're going into an election when he just won in January. Well, inauguration was in January, but he just won last October. So, are we in brand new constitutional territory, Janine? Is this what's really being positioned here for the American public to finally understand? That's the question.
I think that's coming. So the bottom line says not yet, that's coming. So it's like part of the build up to that, but it's not the whole thing. Whatever's going on there, it feels like it's got a darker slant to it. I wonder if the two flags are going to indicate something's. This is the Three of Cups here, but it's badly aspected with the moon. And we know they still have to bring out the adrenochrome use, the truth about child trafficking, what's underneath even the White House.
Yeah.
I think it's leading to something else. I feel like patience, they will get to finally letting you know that it's a republic and it's already taken back. Like, I feel like this says it was military. It was a military operation for the last, all that 4 years that Biden was there. That's what that feels like it's saying. And Trump happens to be the head of that military. Right. So that's why I think the 45/47. So yeah, he was in charge in a way the whole time. Okay. So now, and this is saying, wait, that's going to come out. That'll come out. The real status, I think it'll come out. And this is a patience card. They got other things to do first. And before that, they're going to, I don't know. It just feels like this is that adrenochrome card when it's badly aspected.
Okay. So thank you, everyone in the chat. I appreciate it. So like in the show earlier today, you're like, yeah, but that's already happened in the past. Military involvement. We're going back to the white hat here in the military op. They're not quite ready to put that out to the public, but this is a teaser, a setting up for that information. The parade was, the two flags were, but in between here and there, that being public knowledge for everyone, we have to go through the dark night of the souls here with the adrenochrome stuff and the financial system.
So this is hidden information has to come out, and they're building. So exactly what you just said, building building the evidence. So they're going to point to all of this stuff when it's time. Maybe it'll be the EBS where they're explaining everything. They're going to show all of these things that happened.
Fascinating. Okay. Guys in the live chat, do you have any questions? But again, here's the thing. We're talking about maybe DC not being the DC we thought it was. We're talking about maybe the country not being what it was. And now on the day of Trump putting these two flags, or in the same number of hours, so to speak, we have the director of the FBI saying, hey, I got the proof 2020 election was stolen. That rescinds, dude, that changes the whole history map, right? Even though the mainstream news is not talking about it, we have to go back to the comment that Trump made today, that he was the hunted, and he is now the hunter.
Yeah.
So maybe we can finish on that, Janine. Let me bring that up on the live screen again. I think it's this one here. Hold on. This one here. I was the hunted, and now I'm the hunter. What can we expect here moving forward from that statement? He's clearly signaling here that things have changed and he's got the upper hand. And you have the elements between the here and there. You talked about the adrenochrome and the money, but what's the timing? July 4th is coming up really quick. And in that anonymous video they started a 17-day countdown. So it was the 16-day and then a couple of hours on that video if you watch carefully. So there again, 17 being Q, they were pointing to Q, they're counting to all of this, and they're counting to July 4th here, perhaps being rebranded, renamed. Who knows what the hell is going on, Janine? So let's look at a timing on all of this.
Okay, so a soft yes on that. So I feel like that's one time that could, I feel like they set these things up and it could go off on that, but it's going to depend on various different things and reactions of people. So
Okay.
it's not 100% that's going to be the time, but I'd say that's a shoot, one of the ones that they're looking at. But
So this is a general guideline, and even if you parse this guy's words carefully, he says in the days and weeks it's coming, but here they're talking about 17 as a kind of an ultimate guideline. But there's a give and take in any war scenario here, depending on what the other side does, of course. Okay, but for the audience members, again, going back to sure, but is it July? Is it August? Is it September? Or are we in this for another 4 years? Because remember, you and I were looking at this in 2020, and we're like, surely this is going to resolve. We can't be in this for many years. People are going to freak out. But yet they were able to push this back so many years, and we had all of these so-called, I call them media curators and people who manage social memes and the narrative, saying, "Oh, it's going to be April," and then it was September, and then it was like, and we kept losing faith in all of that. But it kept us and it kept the morale up all over these 4 years. Do we need another 4 years, Janine? Or are we that close now?
No, I think we're going to be months. So it feels like the 8th month, things are really going off. 8th month, what is that? August.
Yeah.
And the 9 of Cups. I think this happens this year, 2025.
Well, so much is out now that I can't fathom me waiting that long when the director of the FBI is putting out information. And just go back 3 weeks. Trump said all roads lead to Obama, right? Are you guys ready for a military tribunal? Again, media didn't touch that.
Yep.
But now that we're looking at Iran, we have to go back to all the money pallets that Obama gave to Iran, right? People are starting to connect the dots. Oh, that's what he meant. That's what he meant, right? And then we talked about Epstein in the White House at the press corps. We talked about the robots, the soulless robots, pretending to be Joe Biden. All of this is all out. It can't stand that long without any ramifications. So, fascinating. Oh, somebody's asking about Lionsgate 8/8. Janine, let's do a poll on 8/8. That's interesting because you've had August here quite a few times in the last 2 weeks when we've asked about timing. Lionsgate. Trump is also in memes at the very least, but also in some circles described as being just that, a lion. So let's look at 8/8.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think, guys? Let's poll the chat. Do you guys feel like we're close to this? So two answers. Yeah, you're cautiously optimistic, or no, JC, we're going to wait many more years, and this movie is just way too long. So just give me a yes or no. So yes, we're almost done, or no, this is going to take a long time. What do you guys think in the live chat? Where are we in the scope of things? I'm curious to see. While we wait for that to populate, Janine, Lionsgate, August 8th. What do we need to know about that date?
It feels like a big spiritual reveal or an otherworldly reveal on that date, but not what we were just talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, because this is the alliance card in the middle, and that can be a truth and honesty and reveal kind of card, and a little bit disappointing because if we're looking for the other thing that we were talking about, it won't be that, but there'll be really cool things going on 8/8. Yeah, I think it'll be a little past the 8th of August. If it's in August, it feels like it's past that.
Okay. Well, again, going back to the chart, which Cliff had provided, and he was bang on for this year, August is relatively a slow month. Well, no, it's still pretty high. It's higher than June, actually. Not as high as July. Then we have a bit of a lull in September, but the real peaks are in October here. That's just crazy numbers up there. Fascinating. Okay, there's a lot of yeses in the chat, Janine. People think we're close. I hope we're not being delusional. I hope we're not being tinfoil hatters. But again, there's so much evidence pointing to something big being around the corner and changing. And you've had this now in the last couple of months of this big reversal cards basically happening that changes everything. Can we end on that maybe, Janine? Or do you want to do maybe a 7-card pull on the big reversal?
How am I going to do a 7-card pull with this guy?
Yeah. Well, how do you want to do it? My question is really about what the reversal looks like.
Okay.
This reversal, the timing of it, what it's all about, what we need to know, how do we navigate this? What universe wants to know about this, us to know about this big reversal that seems to be just around the corner?
Mm-hmm. See that? Oh my goodness.
Wow.
2 aces. We're in
Yeah.
it. You guys,
Yeah.
we're in it. Like, universe doesn't talk exact dates, but
Yeah.
we're like in the time of that.
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever's happening, it's already in play. Okay. Things are already set up in play. It's just a matter of people becoming aware of them.
Yeah.
And there we've got, and what something to realize, and this is from the universe, is that we're sovereign free people. We're hunting those that used to hunt us.
Mm-hmm.
Like let's join in with Trump on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're hunting those that used to hunt us. Human race has been hunted, enslaved, and like all these things, like all these psyops played on us, these terrible like oppression put on us in so many ways, through schooling, through officialdom of every kind. And all the different countries have their woe stories in different areas, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're like what we need to understand is already assume the position of being a free sovereign being, whether you see it or not, like in the face of all evidence to the contrary. This is my favorite saying of all time. Behave as if it's already happening the way you want it, not the way you fear it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like all that's really left here is the truth, that everybody sees the truth. And the fact that you do, just being in a room and knowing the truth and like just know it in your soul, you'll bring the energy of that knowing into the room, and people will, surprisingly come walking up and start talking to you. I get people right out of the blue talking to me about, they just know unconsciously, their soul just gravitates.
They attune to that frequency field of information really quickly. Yeah.
And they start talking about weird things, and then all of a sudden we get in a big conversation, and of course it usually goes to this kind of talk, right? What we're doing. But so the death card is nothing will ever be the same again. It's already like you'll never go back to that. You can't, because you already know. Right? You're not going to be a victim to it unless you decide to be. Yeah. Because if you already know something, now you know you have to have boundaries. You have to say no. You can't don't consent to the stupidity of what's going on. You know what I mean? So you're already moving in that direction, and then seeing things in it. We're in all new territory though, you guys. Like we're like, as we think and visualize and feel, we're creating. So we're in all new territory, and it's exciting. It's like, already be there. Behave like you're there.
Great advice. Thank you, Janine. Cygnus is asking, what about silver? Dude, we've looked at silver quite a few times in the last couple of weeks. Crazy numbers ahead of us. We're in that temporal marker also from Cliff High at the beginnings of it, at least with the dollar a day moves here. And much more to come there on silver. Speaking of silver also,
luôn chính là to luôn này. Ui giời. Ôi 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 ôi. Ồ, đây là cái của vị trí quá đang có lát nè. Ôi trời ơi. Ủa sao lại nằm vậy? Đuổi nó đi qua nha. Lấy con chưa có đưa đi. mùa này là phố rồi. Ok nào. Ôi trời ơi, đây rồi để rồi nha ơi. Rồi. Đường nha này nha. Một dưới à, đáng bộ dưới à, đúng nha. Ôi vào tối khỏe. Ủa phát này nhanh nhất anh em ạ. Bằng xem đi, zoom. Rồi rồi, xong luôn nha. Okay.